Hello, everybody. She couldn't wait. Hi. I thought I'd get them ready so I wasn't crackling the bag all over the place. And she's just over here going crazy. She's so excited. She really loves them. And then, of course, because she's going, then I get Billy going. Earl sees a fly in the room, so he's kind of occupied with that right now. You might hear a little meow every once in a while because he's been chasing it. I don't know where. Oh, he's on the floor now. He must have gotten it. Did you get it, baby boy? Oh, good boy. He's the best hunter. Hi, Billy. Don't worry. It'll soon be your time. It'll be your turn. Hi. I can't even get to my mouse at the moment. Billy, can you share? Can you share my desk? Thank you. What a beautiful way to start the day, right? Hi. Hi. Oh, he must not have gotten it because now he's up on the dresser and he's going to do a flying leap across the room, I'm sure. Hello, Nana Laura. Thank you. You are so sweet. Hello, C-Rex. I'm starting to get nervous. Y'all might hear a crash. Hello, Sir Philip. Hello, CE. Hello, Chinny. Hello, Nina Sage. Thank you. Hello, Linda Applegate. I started a little early tonight because I have a family reunion tomorrow. And it's about a little over an hour from here. So I'm going to meet up with Dad, and then Dad and I are going to go together. So yeah, I need to get some sleep tonight. I was woken up this morning by the most beautiful sound of tree cutters sawing down a tree across the way. And then they brought all of their equipment over here and sawed the dead tree out of my backyard. They sawed the dangerous parts down. So I'm excited about that. It was the greatest thing. I'm like, I have had 3 hours of sleep and I can't even be mad at you. They're wonderful people, though. They've helped me out so much before. Kendra was gifted a piano, oh gosh, years and years ago. And when we bought this house, we had to get the piano in. The moving company that I called wanted like $300 to move it from the back door into the house. It was already here. I just couldn't get it in to the house. And so I messaged my friend, her husband is the one that owns the tree cutting company. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Do you have suggestions? You know people. She's like, yeah, I know my husband. We'll be right over. He called his tree cutting crew to come over to my house and move a piano. That's how great they are. Oh, honey, thank you so much. Me too. This is the highlight of my day. Sleep or no sleep. I'm going to warn you guys for tonight though. It's not exciting. It's the judge talking the whole time, but she's going through, like, there's a checklist. She's going through each individual item, and then it's almost like a tally system. This point weighs in favor of termination, this point weighs against termination. And then they kind of add them all up and determine whether the child is terminated or not. And we already know that they did decide to terminate the parental rights of the child. So we know how it ends. But we get to go through a lot of points that we didn't know, some factors that came in from other hearings, and maybe details that we didn't hear or we overlooked, or it's very interesting. But I also will warn you, for those who really dislike the word the judge is an ummer, and she's an ummer of the worst kind. I think at one point I heard her say, and the child is in Grand Rapids. I snipped as many ums out as I could get, but I couldn't get them all. So, and sometimes her ums and thes kind of run one into the other, so there's that. Hi, Sherry B. Honey. No, it's terminating the parental rights of the child. I said that the second time. I'm on 3 hours of sleep. You're going to just have to deal with me. All right. Oh, before we begin, I got the gifty gift. Shane's not in here yet, is he? Have y'all talked to Shane in Discord tonight? Is he coming? Maybe we wait. Maybe we wait. It's from Shane. I don't want to open it until he's here.
Right. Good morning. This is the matter of CH, case number 23-50690 in A. This is the time notified or noticed out for the court's oral termination opinion in this matter. This matter involves a petition by the Kent County Prosecuting Attorney's Office filed in this court on August 16th, 2024. In the petition, the prosecuting attorney requests an order terminating parental rights and placing this child in the permanent custody of the court.
Oh, look. They both showed up. Sort of.
An adjudication was held on June 7th, 2023, and the child was found to come within the jurisdiction of the court. CH was removed from her mother's care in Hawaii on December 15th, 2022 due to physical abuse. A conversation between the Hawaiian judge and this judge caused the case to be transferred to Michigan, and CH was placed in her father's care here in Michigan on March 27, 2023. CH was removed from his care 6 days later on April 3rd, 2023, when he refused to provide care. The parents, Lori Ann Enriquez and Andre Bell, appeared with counsel, stated their objections to termination of their parental rights. The parties stipulated to a virtual termination hearing due to Ms. Enriquez's location out of state. Pursuant to the statute and court rules, the court has conducted previous hearings on this case, and this court takes judicial notice of the testimony and exhibits admitted in those prior hearings. Further additional testimony and exhibits have been presented concerning the termination opinion, or concerning the termination petition. The court has weighed the credibility of the witnesses. The court has also considered the weight to be given to written and oral reports received as evidence, and has carefully determined the probative value of these reports. The relevant testimony is summarized in part as follows. Ms. Enriquez testified on her own behalf and testified that she's currently living in Washington, D.C., that her parenting style with CH was that, quote, she was really tough on her. Quote, I've been doing this with CH since she was a little girl, end quote. That from her perspective, the child was never removed from her, but she simply agreed for her to go with her father. Ms. Enriquez denied assaulting CH, said the witnesses who were present lied and that any charges were dropped. She believes that she's emotionally stable. She attended virtual therapy and called that person the best one in Honolulu, but couldn't get in to see him frequently enough. She didn't understand why she was supposed to go to counseling, and that being away from her child is the only reason for her emotional instability. She testified that she speaks with CH 2 to 3 times a week, but that CH is very busy with her activities, that she has 2 other children who are living with her in Washington, D.C., 16-year-old and 15-year-old, that she admits that she has not attempted to personally visit CH since the removal, not since she's been living in Washington, D.C., and not while she was in New York for a funeral at one point during the case. Ms. Enriquez also testified that she saw another therapist, Mr. Ackerman, a virtual therapist, saw him for 4 weeks, and admitted that she discussed being physically abused by the government, that the federal courthouse is investigating. She denied that she asked him to put his finger to his lip at one point. She testified that he was miming oral sex, that she stopped the conversation at that point, and said she wasn't going to return to him for counseling. She denied being diagnosed with any mental illness. She said her sessions with him were supposed to be 45 minutes, but they were generally only 10 minutes. She testified that she rescheduled any missed therapy visits and denied missing any visits that she did not make up. She further testified that she's been in Washington, D.C. Since August of 2024, and that she had signed a lease back in June of 2024 in Washington, D.C., that she's been trying to set up a psychological evaluation. She further testified that she receives government assistance in the form of SSI in the amount of $914 a month. Her disability is that she cannot stand or walk too much, that she takes over-the-counter ibuprofen, but also has a prescription for ibuprofen. She receives $350 a month in food stamps and also receives transportation assistance, that she currently has an unfinished apartment in Washington, D.C. She testified that she notified the worker immediately upon her move and sent a copy of the lease. that she also admitted that she was in New York for about 3 months for a funeral, and stated that the reason that she did not come to Michigan to visit CH was that she outgrew Michigan and she wasn't going back. Ms. Kara Hall, the caseworker in this matter, has been the caseworker since June of 2023. She also testified. She testified that, to her knowledge, up until the time of the hearing, the termination hearing, that mother's two other kids were in a Kent County guardianship with Ms. Enrique's own mother, and that this was a surprise to her to hear that these two children were in Ms. Enrique's custody. And the court notes that the first hearing in this matter with the court was June 7th, 2023, and throughout this case, there's been no mention by Ms. Enriquez that she had custody of her other children until the termination hearing. Ms. Hall testified that this case was brought to the court's attention as a result of Ms. Enriquez assaulting Canada in the parking lot of a homeless shelter in December of 2022. And as the court's already indicated, Canada or CH was removed from her care at that time. Parenting skills is the first barrier that was identified for Ms. Enriquez to overcome in order to reunify with CH. She's made little to no progress in her parenting skills despite the number of services that have been offered. She blames CH for all of the issues in her parenting skills. CH blames herself regarding the removal, believes it's her fault that she was removed from her mother. Ms. Enriquez was offered video visits, telephone calls with CH. Early on in the case, she was initially appropriate during these virtual visits, but she did discuss the case and her negative thoughts about the caseworker, and this escalated as the case progressed. Ms. Enriquez began missing calls or joining the calls late. She was offered extensive parenting time, at least virtually, and at one point asked that the parenting time be cut in half because she didn't have anything to talk about with her. At one point, Ms. Enriquez did have a 45-minute unsupervised phone call with CH, and it's unknown what was said during that conversation. Ms. Hall testified that she offered to bring Ms. Enriquez to Michigan for a visit with CH. She also offered to bring CH to Hawaii to visit with mother, and Ms. Enriquez refused both of those offers. Unfortunately, later in this case, CH was moved to a residential placement and reported being sexually assaulted. When Ms. Enriquez was informed of this by CH, she cursed at her, told her she was disappointed, told her it was her fault, and threatened to leave her in foster care. And again, CH has blamed herself after this conversation for the sexual assault. During the phone calls, virtual parenting time that she was having with CH, often Ms. Enriquez was sitting on the beach in Hawaii saying how wonderful it was there, provided unrealistic timeframes to CH, indicating that she would be reunited during that time frame, talked very negatively about Mr. Bell, the father in this case, as well as all of the workers involved. Ms. Hall testified that she did speak with Ms. Enriquez about these conversations and the inappropriateness of the subject matter. And Ms. Enriquez indicated that she would stop, but she continued. Due to the conversations, the Ms. Enriquez sitting on the beach, showing what a wonderful life she was having, this negatively impacts CH, who believes that her mother is happier without her as a result. Ms. Enriquez subsequently called the shelter where CH was residing after the sexual assault, cursed them out, on a phone call. Then she called the shelter back several times, left lengthy threatening messages that continued until the voicemail time ran out. She cursed at them. She said she would get them fired. And when testifying at the termination hearing, Ms. Enriquez denied making lengthy threatening calls, other than she did admit that she may have said that she would get them fired or that they could be fired. Ms. Enriquez was referred to the MSU Extension virtual parenting class. She did engage, did not complete, but did engage. But the evidence that she did not benefit from this class was revealed in the conversation that she had with CH regarding the sexual assault. She also Ms. Enriquez also engaged in a trauma-informed parenting class twice, but did not successfully complete it due to joining late, leaving early for several class sessions. She did later participate in another parenting class and was defensive and gave unrelated answers to questions, but she did complete the course because of her failure to benefit or internalize the information. She was only given a certificate of completion, again, due to her tardiness and lack of engagement. Ms. Enriquez has failed to take any responsibility for the reasons that CH was taken into care. Again, she testified that she believes that the child was never removed from her when the facts are that she was. She said that the reason that CH was not returned to her after she was removed from her father, Mr. Bell, was because she didn't take a parenting class. Ms. Enriquez has made poor progress on this barrier, and it remains a barrier to reunification with CH. The next barrier is emotional stability. Ms. Enriquez denies having any outbursts in phone conversations. However, the testimony by Ms. Hall and the evidence in this case shows that she, in fact, frequently has outbursts and has difficulty regulating her emotions. The location of Ms. Enriquez for most of this case in Hawaii has made it difficult to provide her services, but the evidence throughout this case does show that Ms. Hall made extraordinary efforts to try to connect Ms. Enriquez with services in Hawaii. She tried to set up a psychological evaluation numerous times in Hawaii and asked that Ms. Enriquez assist by following through with the referrals, following up with the providers. The time difference has also been has also complicated the attempts to provide services to Ms. Enriquez, but services were located and Ms. Enriquez was informed, but she failed to follow through. Ms. Hall testified that she contacted 8 different therapists and finally was able to set something up with Mr. Ackerman. And Ms. Enriquez attended 3 appointments but missed 5. Ms. Enriquez did set up a behavioral intake appointment with Waikiki Health Clinic in October of 2023 and did an assessment, but the assessment was entirely based on self-disclosure, and the conclusion of the assessment was that she did not need counseling. However, this is not consistent with her behaviors throughout this case. There was also no evidence that there was a psychologist who was involved in that assessment. Ms. Enriquez was asked to attend weekly or biweekly counseling at that health clinic, but she did not do so. Ms. Enriquez has been very hostile with the worker and other providers in this case. CH has extreme needs. Those needs have been explained to her many times, but she does not understand, shows no insight into CH's needs, and her own emotional instability seems to interfere with the understanding and internalization of that. Most recently this summer, she did attend counseling on June 27th, July 12th, and July 31st, but missed appointments on June 17th, 21st, 26th, and July 19th and 24th. The counselor diagnosed her with paranoid personality disorder and recommended a psychiatric evaluation as well as medication. Again, this is the counselor that Ms. Henriquez said was making mimicking oral sex in their last session, and that she terminated the counseling relationship.
Now that's one part that I missed. I remembered them saying that she asked him to put his finger to his mouth, and when he would not comply, she got upset and quit the sessions and refused to go back. I did not hear them say that she was claiming he was miming oral sex. What?
Again, Ms. Hall's had difficulty getting responses from therapists in Hawaii, and Ms. Enriquez refused to reach out to get the reports herself when asked to assist. However, there was an exhibit admitted that did show the diagnosis of paranoid personality disorder and the recommendation for a psychiatric evaluation as well as medication. Emotional stability remains a barrier to reunification, as there's been essentially no progress in this area. The next barrier is child characteristics, as already mentioned. CH has a significant trauma history, has complex needs. She's suffered physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. She's made homicidal statements towards caregivers, and Ms. Henriquez does not see any of this as an issue, believes that Canada is a normal child. To illustrate, around Christmas of 2023, Ms. Enriquez sent CH a phone, despite being told that she was using it to communicate with random men, and that it was not a good idea and would put her in harm's way. She sent it despite that. Ms. Enriquez blames CH and everyone else involved regarding the situation, and believes CH should have a phone and not be supervised whatsoever, and have the ability to go where and when she wants. Child characteristics remains a significant barrier to reunification. The next barrier is housing. Ms. Enriquez has given conflicting information regarding first where she was living at the beginning of this case. The evidence shows that she and CH were in fact residing in a domestic violence or a homeless shelter when CH was removed. The address that she provided in August 2023 was for a homeless shelter. But then she submitted later an apartment lease from December 2022 to December 2023, indicating a payment of $2,000 a month for rent. She receives $914 a month in SSI benefits, and the math doesn't work out regarding how she afforded that apartment, or why she provided an address for a homeless shelter as her residence in August of 2023. Throughout the case, she refused to allow a virtual visit or a physical tour of her residence by the caseworker. Her excuse for not allowing the physical visit when the caseworker actually went to Hawaii was because she didn't want the workers to get a free vacation to Hawaii, and she refused a tour of her residence. She did send pictures of the apartment, which showed that the apartment was empty. She never updated those photos to show any furniture. Ms. Enriquez's excuse, along with the fact that she didn't want them to get a free trip to Hawaii, was that she's overprotective of herself and her life would be in danger if she sent any videos. But she was unable to explain why her life would be in danger. Ms. Enriquez also sent what appeared to be a forged lease to show that she had an apartment from December 19th, 2023 to December 18th, 2023. The dates on the lease were handwritten over the top of the previous lease. The dates don't make sense. Ms. Henriquez's version is that she and the landlord just agreed to change the dates on the previous lease. She stated that her housing assistance covered 60% of her rent, but on her budget form, she indicated that she paid $678 in rent and utilities. The budget completed earlier in this case showed a significant deficit with no explanation for how she was meeting her needs. Ms. Hall also attempted to get a courtesy visit by Hawaiian caseworkers before she physically went to Hawaii herself. But Hawaii's policy is not to do home visits unless the parent is close to reunification. Since that was not the case, they refused the courtesy visit. On August 19th, 2024, according to Ms. Hall, Ms. Enriquez told her she was in Washington, D.C. Despite being requested, no pictures were sent, no lease was sent, no verification was sent until the day before the termination hearing, which was September 17, 2024. And that was the first time that Ms. Hall received Ms. Enriquez's new address or any verification of her housing despite several requests. She never told Ms. Hall that she was planning on leaving Hawaii and moving to Washington, D.C. The only explanation she gave was that this investigation that's going on regarding the government physically assaulting her was that she needed to be in Washington, D.C. The lease that was provided shows a lease running from June 24th to June 25th. I'm sorry, June of 2024 to June of 2025, with no explanation as to why she did not move until August of 2024. Because of all the uncertainty regarding Ms. Enriquez's current housing situation, housing situation throughout this case, this remains a barrier to reunification. The next barrier is resource availability and management. As already indicated, she was requested to complete a budget in October of 2023 and January in 2024. And the one that she did do showed a significant deficit and showed that she would be unable to support CH if returned to her. And now we're being told that she has 2 other children in her care. Again, unknown how she can provide support for any of these children on $914 a month SSI transportation and food stamps assistance. So resource availability and management continue to remain a barrier to reunification. The next barrier is domestic relations. As already indicated by the court, Ms. Enriquez was residing in a homeless shelter in Hawaii due to domestic violence that occurred between her and her partner at that time. She's also been very aggressive, hostile with all the workers in this case. She was also substantiated for threatening a DHHS employee with physical harm and assaulting, resisting, obstructing a police officer in 2016. She has a history of inability to control her anger in an appropriate way. Mr. Bell also had reported to Ms. Hall that he and Ms. Enriquez had put hands on one another during their relationship. She was referred, Ms. Enriquez was referred to a domestic violence assessment in Hawaii, which she initially refused to complete, then finally was rescheduled several times, but eventually did submit to it on March 27th, 2024 with Hawaii DHHS. However, despite this court's orders that Ms. Enriquez sign any necessary releases, Ms. Enriquez never gave consent for Ms. Hall to speak with the Domestic Violence Assessment Agency or see the report that was issued. Therefore, domestic relations remains a barrier to reunification. The next barrier is communication and interpersonal skills. Again, Ms. Enriquez has her communications style is aggressive and hostile, and particularly with the worker in this case and anyone essentially involved in this case, either for CH as a shelter placement. She's sent a forged lease regarding that initial apartment or the second apartment. She did not return a signed treatment plan. She continues to refuse any virtual residence tours and in-home visits. If she doesn't receive a response within 5 minutes, she blows up everyone's phones and voicemails. She also had a very hostile phone conversation with CH following CH's sexual assault, cursing at her, blaming her, threatening and cursing at the shelter staff. She's accused agency workers of being on drugs and molesting children when they disagree with her or telling her that there's something telling her something she doesn't want to hear. So communication and interpersonal skills remain barriers to reunification with CH. Turning to testimony regarding Mr. Bell, the father. The first barrier is parenting skills. Again, Mr. Bell took custody of Canada in March, or of CH in March of 2023 after she was removed from her mother, Ms. Enriquez. She was there 6 days, and Mr. Bell called CPS and stated that he could no longer care for her due to her bad attitude, that he was going to break her jaw and kill her, or kill her grandmother, where she stayed for a while as respite. He called her derogatory names. When the Grand Rapids Police Department visited the next day, he stated he wanted her out of his home and he would no longer care for her. CH has reported being physically and emotionally abused by her father. In July of 2023, Mr. Bell indicated that he believed that CH needed to change before he would allow her to return home, saying that she was disrespectful, didn't follow rules as he felt she should. He even mentioned that she did not contribute to the household or the bills. He did not participate in any parenting time with CH between April 2023, when she was removed from his care, until January 2024, because CH did not want parenting time with her father. Mr. Bell was referred to parent nurturing class in November 2023, which he did complete. And he did begin engaging in parenting times after January of 2024, attending 3 out of 7 scheduled sessions for the month of March. But then he began failing to appear for scheduled visits and refused to do any further parenting classes or any other services other than family counseling. His excuse was that he needed to pay bills because he physically went places to pay bills at the beginning of the month. By June of 2024, he'd only attended 6 of 22 scheduled visits with CH. He did submit to a psychological evaluation, which recommended that he needed further parenting tips and parenting skills. CH was negatively affected by his failure to appear for parenting times. Mr. Bell has never acknowledged how that impacted CH, and as a result, CH blames herself for his lack of parenting time and failure to appear. Mr. Bell has not seen CH since she moved to a youth shelter at the end of June 2024. Again, Mr. Bell has stated that he would not let her back in his home until she actually improves herself. At the end of June of 2024, after the physical assault or sexual assault that CH endured, they had a conversation in which he told her that she needed to improve herself, that she needed to better herself, and that she could not come home until she did so. CH told her father that she didn't want to ever see him again, and he responded by saying that he was done. He's been ambivalent with the caseworker, Ms. Hall, about whether or not he wanted to pursue reunification, but he did state that he did not want any visits, whether virtual or in person, with CH at that time. Over the last 2 weeks, immediately before the termination hearing, he's had a couple of virtual visits with CH because she has called him. Ms. Hall reports that CH does not want to live with him, but wants to rebuild a relationship with him, and again continues to blame herself for the situation. Parenting skills, therefore, remains a barrier to Mr. Bell's reunification with CH. The next barrier is emotional stability. Mr. Bell missed 2 psychological evaluations, and Ms. Hall finally drove him to his 3rd psychological evaluation, and that's when it was finally completed. Again, his instability is reflected in the incident that caused CH to be removed from his care after only 6 days, where he stated he was going to break her jaw and kill her family and called her derogatory names. Mr. Bell admits that he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and that he's been hospitalized at Pine Rest once or twice in the past few years. He stated that he was prescribed Prozac and Seroquel to manage his mental health, but that he was not taking those medications, and they were not showing up on his drug screens. He also stated that he was taking 2 other medications for his mental health, even though they are not mental health medications. They're for one's an antihistamine, another is a blood pressure medication. In addition, he was not attending any therapy for his bipolar condition, and his difficulty managing his feelings and his responses to interpersonal relationships. He gives up easily, told CH that he was done, and blamed her for her sexual assault. Again, all reflecting emotional instability and difficulty in processing anger and other feelings when dealing with a child. Emotional stability, therefore, remains a barrier to reunification. The next barrier is child characteristics. Mr. Bell refused to attend CH's trauma assessment because it was scheduled too early for him at 10 a.m. Again, CH has a significant trauma history. There's been difficulty in obtaining services for her due to her behavioral issues and her high needs. She's had 15 different placements. There was an investigation into allegations of sexual abuse that CH accused Mr. Bell of that was not substantiated. She has a history of skipping classes, domestic violence and placements, being expelled from school. Her electronics have to be closely monitored because of inappropriate content on her cell phone and contact with much older men. She has a history of self-harm, suicidal ideations, and Mr. Bell has demonstrated no insider interest in her special needs and her issues. Again, minimizing them, saying that she needs to change before he would let her back in her home, blames her behavior on her living with her mother for most of her life. He has made no progress understanding her issues, and child characteristics remains a barrier to reunification. Domestic relations is the next barrier for Mr. Bell. He threatened to choke CH at the time of her removal from him. Some reports indicating that he threatened to break her jaw. He and Ms. Enriquez were together for 13 years. There were apparently was a lot of conflict in that relationship, and he did admit that they had put hands on each other. Mr. Bell has 2 criminal charges from his past regarding domestic altercations, including felony assault with a dangerous weapon and assault and battery. He's also threatened to harm not only Canada, but her grandmother and other family. Mr. Bell was referred to the YWCA to address those domestic relations issues, but he refused to participate in this or even general counseling, stating that he had already paid his debt to society and would not do so again, and that he was not on probation. So domestic relations remains a barrier for reunification for Mr. Bell. The next barrier is communication and interpersonal skills. Initially in the case, Mr. Bell was responsive and communicated well with the worker and was open in his discussion. However, he began to not appear for parenting time visits. He began to speak inappropriately with the worker when communicating about his morning routine and sexual things that he could be doing with his girlfriend rather than being on the phone with the worker. He told Ms. Hall that they were doing too much, bothering him, trying to set him up with services. He frequently did not answer texts or phone calls, and again, continued to speak inappropriately with the worker about his sex life and morning routines. When she texted him at 1 a.m. regarding the sexual assault that CH had suffered, he said that it could have waited until morning and that it was interfering with his relationship with his girlfriend. Again, Mr. Bell was most inappropriate when speaking with CH at the most recent parenting time visit, which ended in them, or not the most recent, the last parenting visit up until the last 2 weeks. So this would have been in July of 2024 or June of 2024 when he told CH she wasn't doing anything to better herself, and she told him that she didn't want to have any more contact with him. He has spoken aggressively to the worker on the phone and has hung up on her on occasions. So communication and interpersonal skills remain barriers to reunification. The final barrier is substance abuse. Mr. Bell reported smoking a joint of marijuana and drinking beer a few times a week. However, during the CPS investigation, he appeared to be drunk during a 9:30 a.m. phone call with the investigator. He was slurring his words, and he said he'd been out at the bars. He tested positive for cocaine on May 22nd, 2024. He reported that he attended Narcotics Anonymous a couple of years ago for approximately 22 meetings, and that it helped him cut down on his drinking. He was referred for random drug screening due to his refusal to take a drug test. He did not participate in any drug screens, and then later agreed to be screened at his parenting visits. On March 27th and April 25th, 2024, he was negative for all substances, including his prescribed medications, but then he tested positive for cocaine again on May 22nd, 2024, and refused to do any further drug screens. He's consistently denied using, however. CH and others have reported that Mr. Bell drinks successfully and uses cocaine. Again, he stated that he would not do any further drug screen or drug testing because he was not on probation.
Did y'all just see him going off in the camera? Like, they've got him super muted. Like, I don't know, maybe he can't turn his mute off, but he was not happy with what she was saying about his addictions.
So this substance abuse remains a barrier to reunification with CH. Based on the evidence and record in this matter, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that a statutory basis exists for terminating the parental rights of Lori Ann Enriquez and Andre Bell, including but not limited to the following. Section 19B3A2, that Andre Bell deserted his child for 91 or more days and has not sought custody of the child during that period of time. Despite the parenting time that he has recently engaged in the last 2 weeks, the court finds that it's just too little and too late. Section 19B3C1, that both parents are respondents in a protective proceeding that has been brought under the Juvenile Code, that 182 or more days have elapsed since the issuance of an initial dispositional order, and that the conditions that led to the initial adjudication continue to exist, and there is no reasonable likelihood that the conditions will be rectified within a reasonable time considering the age of the child. Section 19B3G, that both parents, although in the court's discretion, financially able to do so, fail to provide proper care or custody for the child, and that there's no reasonable expectation that the parents will be able to provide proper care and custody within a reasonable time considering the child's age. Section 19B3J, that there's a reasonable likelihood based upon the conduct or capacity of the child's parents that the child will be harmed if she is returned to the home of the parent. The court finds that reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family and make it possible for the child to safely return home. Those efforts were unsuccessful. Turning to best interests, this phase of the proceedings focuses on the child and not the parents. The first is the child's bond to each of the parents. The testimony was that CH's bond to father is weak. She hasn't really spent much time with him during the course of her life, that she wants to build a bond. But again, the bond does not appear to be there at this time, or whatever bond is there is very weak and perhaps even a trauma bond. As far as Ms. Enriquez, CH feels that her mother does not want her. In fact, she doesn't feel that either of her parents want her. But she does want to return to mother. And the worker indicated that that's because there are no rules. The court can take judicial notice that CH was also a delinquency ward for a time, and CH definitely prefers a structure where there's no rules and that she can do as she wishes. The worker's opinion was that the breaking of any bond that exists with either parent would not be difficult. And the lawyer guardian ad litem indicated that she showed no emotional upset when he talked with her about the possibility of termination of parental rights a couple of days ago. The court finds this factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the parent's parenting ability. As the court has already found, Mr. Bell missed many parenting times, and he's indicated that he's ambivalent regarding parenting time, putting the burden on her to change with little to no effort on his part, or in little to no acknowledgement of his part in her issues, her behavioral issues. Ms. Enriquez reduced her parenting time because there was not enough to talk about at one point. She's had inappropriate conversations, negative comments about Mr. Bell, about workers, and giving CH unrealistic timeframes for reunifications, discussing the case. The court finds that both parents' parenting ability is poor, and this factor weighs in favor of termination for both parents. The next factor is the child's need for permanency, stability, and finality. Neither parent is stable emotionally. It would take 9 months to a year, according to Ms. Hall, for reunification to occur if both parents or either parent immediately and fully invested in their treatment plan. This child's been waiting long enough, and this factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the advantages of a foster home over the parent's home. CH is in residential placement, and that's never preferable to a home, whether it be a foster home or a parent's home. This factor weighs in favor of termination, regardless, because neither one of these parents' homes are appropriate for this child and will only result in further trauma to her. Residential placement is not ideal, but really it's the only hope at this point that she has. The next is a parent's history of domestic violence. Both parents have admitted that there have been domestic violence between them. Both parents have shown their own propensity to hostile, aggressive, and abusive interactions in their interpersonal lives. This factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is a parent engaging in questionable relationships. The evidence was that Ms. Enriquez was in a homeless shelter due to domestic violence from her partner at that time. Mr. Bell has referenced girlfriends who are interfering with his relationship with CH or in her best interest, prioritizing those girlfriends over CH's needs. This factor weighs in favor of termination for both parents. Next factor is the parent's compliance with the case service plan. Neither parent has complied with their case service plan more than minimally. This factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the parent's visitation history with the child. Regarding Ms. Enriquez, she has refused in-person parenting time with her child. She asked at one point that her parenting time be reduced due to the fact that they had nothing to talk about, and she had inappropriate conversations with CH, including blaming her for her own sexual abuse. Mr. Bell had no parenting time for a significant amount of time up until the beginning of this year with CH. Then he had a few, failed to appear for many, which negatively impacted her and reinforced for her the fact that neither of her parents want her. This factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the child's well-being while in care. As the court has already indicated, this child was sexually assaulted while in placement. She's had 15 different placements due to her behavior, but the court cannot find that her well-being while in care has been good. So the court will weigh this factor against termination. The next factor is the possibility of adoption. Given CH's behavioral issues and her high needs, this factor weighs against termination. Well, adoption is probably not an option for her. The next factor is the opinion of experts, including psychologists, therapists, the caseworker, and the LGAL. In this matter, the caseworker, the LGAL, and the CASA all support termination. Therefore, this factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the child's wishes, if given at a sufficient age to express a preference. The LGAL and the caseworker reported that CH would like to return to her mother and that she would like to rebuild her relationship with her father. But the return to her mother appears to be based on a desire to run the streets and have no rules. So it's not a healthy preference or a reasonable preference. And sadly, her wishes regarding her father is to create a relationship that really isn't there at this point. So this factor weighs in favor of termination, despite the fact that she did express a preference against it. The next factor is the length of time the child has been in foster care. CH has been in foster care since December 15th of 2022, 21 months. This factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the length of time the child may be required to wait for the parent to rectify conditions. The testimony of Ms. Hall was that if both parents fully engaged immediately in their parent treatment plan, it would take each of them at least 9 months or more to overcome their barriers. This factor weighs in favor of termination. The next factor is the bond that exists between siblings. Again, I believe the court, well, for sure, the court and others involved in this case were surprised to hear that Ms. Enriquez has custody of 2 of her children. There was no evidence regarding at any point in this case regarding that, number one. Number two, no evidence regarding any bond between CH and these other 2 children. So the court finds that's a neutral factor. Therefore, from the testimony and record in this matter, and considering the legislative mandate for permanency and by preponderance of the evidence, this court finds that the best interest of this child will be served through termination of parental rights. The parental rights of Lorianne Enriquez and Andre Bell are terminated, and additional efforts for reunification of the child with the parent shall not be made. The child is committed to the Department for Permanency Planning, Supervision, Care, and Placement under MCL 400.203. All attorneys are discharged except the LGAL, Richard Gould, and a post-termination hearing will be held on a date to be determined before referee Kessler.
That was just painful. Truly painful to watch that. But now, hopefully, the true therapy and true healing can begin. She's not going to have to continuously go back and forth with these people that don't really value her in the first place and are making her mental health conditions so much worse. Through therapy, she's got a chance, but not with them still involved in her life. Yeah, that was a rough one. The way Dad was going off, though, and I think you called it, that it's not even about the fact that he's losing his daughter. He just doesn't want to be blamed for it. He doesn't really care that he's losing parental rights. He just doesn't want it to be his fault. He's already stated that the reason that CH is the way she is because she was raised by her mother. They're both just so much about themselves and blaming everyone else for their problems. The chronic victimhood. Yeah, I know. You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to get it. They took it down almost immediately. So I was really happy that I got it. And I'm going to put the 2 together, and it's going to be a very, very long Replay Crew mini. but I want the two cases side by side because the original live stream had the victim that went berserk on the judge as the thumbnail case. So if you don't know what you're looking for, it's not even mentioned. So I did put it in the description already. On top of the game, right here. But I'm gonna put it together, and that way, if anybody wants to rewatch it again, if they think they missed something, you know, we all get busy, put it on the background while you're doing dishes or whatever, it'll be there. Mortimer Duke. It's the least effective method. Well, you know, the second way, that's the most effective. You have the least effective method and the most effective method in the same sentence. Let's average that out. Yeah, you did. I still can't get over how creepy she looked yesterday. Oh, I swear she looks like Jigsaw from Saw. That's all I can see when she's like this. Those fake cheeks and oh. Yeah. I'm gonna open the present from Shane now. Now that I saw that he was here. He said he wasn't sure when I'd get to my P.O. box. I had forwarding set up so it would come to my house. And then that didn't exactly work out because then they started being jerks about it. So now I'm just going to have to send somebody out there like once a week and check it. All right, here we go. Linda Applegate, it's only the second. It was only the second hearing. How many bubble envelopes are there, Shane? Oh my gosh, I adore you. Look at this. I love you. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. It's my very own cat crossing sign. Thank you. I love it. Oh my god, that's so pretty. Thank you so much. I love it. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Shane. I'm so happy that... For those who don't know, Shane was the one who suggested the cat crossing sign, and I loved it so much I had to make it immediately. Oh my gosh, it is perfect. I'm going to have to put it on my wall. I'm gonna have to put a nail in the wall. I'm gonna have to put it on my wall because if I put it here on the desk, you know darn well the cats are going to knock it over. It will be their new favorite thing to toy with. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Oh, I wonder, no. I was going to say if I put it under, but then I remember like when Billy takes over my desk, I scooch my keyboard back really quickly so he doesn't push buttons, and I don't want to accidentally scooch it into it. It's getting hung up. It'll go right up by Papa. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. All right, guys, with as much as I would love to keep going, I've got the family reunion tomorrow, which means I need to actually sleep today. I know, such a strange concept for me. But I already have something ready to go tomorrow. So even if I don't get home in time to edit, I've got something ready. So that's another reason why I'm not running it, because I have to learn to space myself out. Moderation is key. I'm gonna try. I love my family. I really, really do, but it's a long ride and a lot of pain by the time I get there, and then the drive home. Going anywhere is hard for me. Going anywhere far away is really rough. So that would be the only bar to me coming on tomorrow, would be if the pain levels just maxed out. My cousin puts this on every year. It's his birthday present to himself, is all of the catfish that are caught, and bluegills and any other kind of fish that he catches. It's a giant fish fry is what it is. So all of the fishing from all year long, he saves it up, and he does this giant family reunion fish fry event every year around his birthday. So it is an amazing, wonderful, great time if it wasn't so far away. But I have to go because there's a really good chance that this might be the last one for a particular family member. So I have to go. Tradition. All right, guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. And Shane, thank you so much for my cat crossing sign, my very own, because I can't see the one you guys see. So I now have one that I can see. Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.